Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Now, in our fifth season, looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club. My name is Benjamin Bloom, and you're tuned in to this, the flagship show available each and every week on video and audio. So, for a sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more of football conversation, make your Monday a Blue Monday. We're going back to our roots. It's Dave Diamond, everybody.
Ben, how you doing, Ben?
Well,
My friend?
let's immediately break the fourth wall. It's 8:52 on Saturday morning. Are you playing golf today?
No, no, no. Kieran, my youngest, is supposed to be playing today, but no, I'm not. It's quite horrible out there. Let's face it. I
It's
think it's forecast to rain all bloody day as well. So
how's your
no.
how's your grass? Is it okay?
Grass, it's extremely green.
Oh,
Extremely green.
very
Yeah,
nice
I've
too.
got to say, extremely green. It wasn't probably about a month ago, but yeah, we've had a lot of rain in the last few weeks, and
Distinct half-term feel here, isn't there, Dave?
yeah.
In the
But
international break.
you refer to the time of day. This does take us back, Ben. This wasn't back in the day, what, 4 or 5 years, 4 years ago? This wasn't unusual, really, was it?
No, so when we started the podcast and we didn't have a clue how to do it, some people would still say we don't. Dave and I would do this face to face. I was still living in Ipswich, and sometimes with my schedule then as a
You
full-time musician, I've
musician. Yeah,
got
you were busy,
Christy
weren't you?
Little school number now, haven't I? We would often do these at very strange hours of the day. But Dave, we wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for those days, hey?
That effort we put in. Of
The
course
eff
not.
the effort we put in. So we're gonna do a bit of a. There's a fair amount of news, Dave. So we'll
Yep.
go through that. We will talk about the season so far. We won't go into granular detail as Harry from Bath would say, but we'll just recap because I
Yeah.
think big picture wise we need to remember how trepidatious we were about this before we started, and then
Yeah.
how I'm looking at lots of green W's on who scored when all I saw last year was orange L's, and then we'll do some listener questions, Dave.
Great stuff.
Let's go.
Shoot. Shoot.
Now, this always annoyed you back in the day. I remember Mick and Terry being offered a contract at a strange time, and
Yeah,
I
this
think
literally used to get, I think the word is used to get my goat, this did. Yeah,
so. I
ridiculous.
don't remember. I don't remember where it was, Dave, but at like mid-season.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we know that the football financial year runs until sort of June, doesn't it? And accounts go in June.
Yeah.
So and then there's a transfer window in January. So strangely, contracts do kind of get done at this time. But
I want,
the
I
news
want to, s-
yesterday, Dave, is
yeah.
Paul Lambert that there's talks of a new contract already. The current one expires 2021, so not the end of next season, the end of
Yeah.
the following
Season
season.
after.
So 1.5 seasons
Wow.
remaining, and he's been here a year. I was just alluding back to that Mick and Terry one because you always used to say, "Why has he done that now?" And what's your feeling on this
I mean,
one?
Lambert, I can, I don't, mate. I can sort of see it. I think it goes deeper. I think than just results this season, doesn't it? It's the whole, getting the fans back on side, getting the good vibes back at the club thing. I think is which goes to me. It goes obviously it's all interconnected, but it goes a bit wider than just results this season. Um, yeah, and I can see, with the success he's having at the moment, and if, for argument's sake, we do, which should, I think, get promoted, then I guess there will be clubs coveting him. Surely, there would be. He's done it again. He did it with Norwich, he did it with Ipswich, and what he did with Norwich, we know what happened the next season. He went right through the Championship as well. So you'd think there would be clubs casting sort of slightly envious eyes at him.
Is there a chance that he could do 4 or 5 years here, possibly, like Mick did?
Potentially, why not? Absolutely, potentially at his age, yeah, why not?
And I
Yeah,
think the big caveat with all of this is we don't know what the first contract says, because
Absolutely.
I suspect the first contract. I think Lambert was in a very good negotiating
I think
position
perhaps he was.
for that one, considering how where we
Yeah.
were, and
Christ. Yeah.
and we don't know what the second one's going to say. So there might be some there might have been some stuff that kind of needed to
Yeah.
be felt out and sort out, and
From
now,
his from absolutely from his point of view. I mean, let's look at the timing of it last season. I think we did refer to it on the pod with the timing that Hurst going and us appointing Lambert, and then soon after, it gets to Christmas. Soon after, the clubs that then lost or got shot of their managers in the Championship. The timing was everything, and as it stands at the moment, I think we're very lucky to get him.
yeah. And my argument with everybody is when you're in League One, look at the other League One managers. There's a lot of people who've tried and failed other places. There's a lot of unknown guys. There's not many who've been successful.
Tried and tested.
Yeah.
Although obviously he's nowhere near as good as Joey Barton.
Well, that was going to be my next item, Dave. So, um, Joey Barton is the manager of the month in League One for September.
Ah,
Obviously, Joey and Paul had some night. I think Joe's trying to wind
he's
Ipswich
very
up.
good at it. Come
Bit
on,
bit of
like I
mind
say,
games. He's
very good at it.
done it all his
That's his,
career, Dave. But
yeah.
from my point of view, I I don't care about these awards in the slightest. I'm sure Paul Lambert doesn't care. It did bring
He does.
a lot of whataboutery from Ipswich fans on Twitter. Should a manager of the month award kind of have its own narrative where one guy gets it one month, then one, because it would be very boring. I assume
It would,
Jurgen
yeah.
Klopp's
No,
not going to win
look,
10 in the Premier
I
League.
really haven't got an issue, and perhaps he has got it. Perhaps there was a bit of weight given to his social media stuff. He's to be fair, he's less, they say, like him or not, he's a character, Barton. He is a character. I mean, personally, I think he's a bit of a thug and not such a nice guy. But look, he does create opinion, doesn't he? Although that shouldn't get him the manager in a month. But I think they had a decent month. I think this was for September, so obviously last week's game wasn't taken into account,
No.
presume. So I think they did have a good run. I think probably did we win it?
I think both bosses got 10 points.
Yeah,
I think it was
10
three
points.
wins and a
And
draw.
Lambert won it. I tend to agree with you. Lambert won it the month before, didn't he? So there you go.
And Joey's argument always is that I don't know, 7 points for Fleetwood is the equivalent of like 12 for Ipswich is his point, right? And
do you know
Dave,
what?
there's
There's
something
something in that.
we've sat and pissed and moaned about the parachute teams in the
Yeah.
championship and said, oh
No,
well,
fair play.
this is too hard. So yeah.
And do you know what? Whether he said it, obviously you say a bit tongue in cheek. You'd like to think some of the stuff he says in tongue in cheek. I think he's a really reasonably intelligent guy. I'm sure he is. But
I think, Dave, I think two things can be true here. I think he's reasonably intelligent, but he's not as intelligent as he thinks he is.
yeah, good point.
Which is one of the worst qualities
Yeah, that's the worst.
anybody can have, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. But no,
Very
some of the
successful
stuff,
man, though.
and some of the stuff that he was saying, you sort of saying, yeah, he's right, but exactly. I think, and the big thing was that he said it before the game last week, and as we all said, well, there's Lambert's team talk, Lambert's team talk right there. But to be fair to Lambert, he seemed to play it all down and just gave it the probably,
in public,
just
Dave.
paid no notion to it at all. So
yeah, great stuff. James Wilson, who, and again, let's go big picture on this. A lot of people sneered about that signing when it came in. Oh, we need to spend some money on a defender. James Wilson has been linked away. His deal, Dave, is a short-term one, I believe, until the January transfer window. Am I correct?
I think it's New Year's Day. I might
Yeah,
get that
so
wrong.
he could move in the in the transfer window. Let me get some. I've just got who scored up here. James Wilson. 7 appearances already. Obviously suspended for the last game after the red card against
Isn't it
Fleetwood.
ridiculous? Haven't we won all 7 games and kept 7 clean sheets? It's crazy, isn't it? Almost.
Is that true?
I thought someone said this. This might not. I might be totally wrong here. Perhaps that was someone just throwing that out there. That can't be right, can it?
I can tell you in a sec. 4-0 Gillingham, 1-0 Fleetwood, 4-1 Tranmere.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not bad though, is it?
there's a couple of ones in there.
Oh, is there? Okay.
I suspect
Yeah.
there'll be a few players and a few supporters as well with a very high win percentage this season. Anyway,
Yeah.
James Wilson linked away, Sunderland and Peterborough. I guess he'll be available on a free. Looks like Marcus and his accountants are doing contracts now. You give him a new one, wouldn't you, Dave? It should be fairly
Absolutely.
inexpensive,
For
shouldn't it?
me, he'd be the first I'd be looking to get extended. But yeah, definitely, absolutely. He's been superb, hasn't he? You know, out of nowhere, really. I don't think because wasn't not between him. There was two trialists, wasn't it? It was between him
Oh, that's
and
right. I saw them both in
Guthrie. Was it
pre-season.
Guthrie? The other guy, what's he
Woody
called?
Guthrie.
Woody
Yeah.
Guthrie. I might tell them.
But
Sure, that
do you
was
know
his name.
what, Dave? This is one where, as a fan, I
You
couldn't
couldn't see
see
it.
any
Couldn't see it.
difference. Yeah,
Okay.
because you got these low intensity
Yeah.
friendlies and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of know nothing as a fan, isn't it?
No, absolutely. So, no, I like him. You know, he's big. He's quite commanding. Pace-wise, I wouldn't say he's the quickest, but yeah, he's just seems a really, really good at that level. Very, very good player. I mean, there's no reason why I don't think we should be looking to get him on board for sure.
Some of the contention I've seen on the wonderful ITFC Twitter
Hmm.
is he fit for purpose if you go up into the championship, or is that
Well,
something that we shouldn't even be bothered about now?
I don't think we should be. I think we should be looking. Okay, in the short term, so at least get him another year or something. At least till the well, he wouldn't sign the end of the season because obviously he's going to get a better. You'd think he'd get a much better contract from Sunderland. So at least get him a year or something. Yeah, get him in. Absolutely.
Mm.
It's,
I,
you know,
I always think that momentum is like it's kind of not quantifiable, is it? But sometimes it's not the quality of player when you go up a promotion. It's about right. Have you got a steady? And you remember Blackburn and Wigan at the start of last season? They both kept winning for the first couple of
that's all
months,
right.
didn't they? And
Yeah,
you're not telling me that
Christ, look
some
at
of the
us the
Blackburn
season
players.
before, for God's sake.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But my point being, once you carry on with the same team, sometimes it's not, oh, he's championship quality, he's not.
Oh,
It's
not at all. It's
is your
continuity,
team, yeah, continuity, and is your
which
team
we
winning,
didn't
yeah?
have last season, which of course we didn't have, and which we have got now, pretty much.
Absolutely. So Dave, it's Black History Month as it is every October. Just while
Hmm.
we've got no games, you've probably watched football turn from white to
Oh, absolutely.
diverse,
Yeah,
haven't you,
absolutely.
in
Yeah, yeah,
your time?
yeah.
Can you just talk about a few black players, important black
Blimey.
players? I mean, I guess if you look at our greatest team, it was very, very white, wasn't it? The 80,
Yeah, no, really.
81 season.
The only black player. I mean, there's been a couple. Funny enough, he was on Life's a Pitch last week. Was a guy called Steve Stacey, who I think might have just been here when Robson came, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure Robson signed him. Who
What, so
basically played
early 70s?
very early, late 60s,
Wow.
probably
Okay.
around now, 69, 70, who either was at the club who Robson signed, but, you know, just didn't make it. And I think he is Bristol. I heard him I say last week. He was on the radio last week and went to Bristol City after 2 or 3 games. The first one I can really remember that made an impact was a guy called Johnny Miller.
Oh, you remember,
Funny
yeah.
enough, Ipswich was not funny. Ipswich lad broke through. Really, a lot was thought of him. Fast, direct right winger, really, really good player. At the time, and yeah, was in and out of the team again. Suffered probably the emergence of Mick Lambert, probably, and probably to a degree Clive Woods. Just thinking about it, mid-70s, yeah, Clive Woods as well. They were pretty much the first choice wide players. And ironically, just a quick story about Johnny Miller. Yeah, played in and out, sporadically played. We let him go to Norwich, and literally about 2 weeks after he went to Norwich, we played him in a League Cup tie at Portman Road. We lost 2-1, and he scored 2.
Of course he did.
Yeah, yeah. So other than that, but after that, it goes away. It goes,
Mm.
Jesus God, yeah. I really have to. I mean, people are probably shouting at me, but I really have to think right through the 80s. I can't really place. Can you?
I'd bow to
I
your
know before
superiorness.
your time. I mean, and you get to like the nine. Blimey, yeah.
I
God, you think
remember
about that. You get
I
to the
remember
90s. I
Dazelle
probably.
and Kiwamya being the
Oh, sorry, and of course, yeah. Sorry,
lead
get to 80s.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you get Giselle Kawamia and obviously Dalian Atkinson. There was another one, Michael Cole again, who again a great deal was thought of Michael Cole, sort of broke through round about the time. I'm pretty sure came through the youth ranks with Atkinson and just didn't quite make it, and I think went to Fulham in the end. Another player, but yeah, probably it would be those were the next sort of generation of black players to play for the town, but. I'm probably missing some perfectly obvious, or I can't
Yeah,
think of.
let us know on Twitter who you think the important bit for Ipswich Town black history. And I mean, there is a certain cosmopolitan point with Ipswich being over towards the coast,
Yeah.
where the more cosmopolitan cities were more centrally where
Oh,
diversity happened quicker. I think
when
generally
you
East
really
Anglia was a bit slower, wasn't it?
no, you're looking at the Midlands, and of course the three really the great what I thought was a great West Brom side. Round about the '78 semi-final where you had Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham, and Brendan Batson, all in the same team. I mean that was just unheard of.
And I think Dave, the Crystal Palace one with Wright and Bright, they, all those
Yeah,
black guys from South
yeah.
London in the Steve Coppell's team as
It
well
was
was a big one, wasn't it?
Ben. I mean, I can remember it was just unusual. It was
Yeah,
odd. You just you go to the match, certainly '70s and. Oh, he's a black player. I mean, West Ham had Clyde Best. Again, he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
one of the first, and sort of pioneer really. Yeah, yeah. When you think about it, yeah.
Yeah,
God.
gone full circle. But I just thought it was worth a mention. So
Yeah, very much
if people want to tweet us in with their, I don't know, most
memories.
important for
But
Black History for Ipswich, we're
yeah, for
talking
me,
about.
Johnny it would be Johnny Miller was the first I can and sort of half sort of regular sort of player that I can certainly remember. Yeah, and
Excellent
being
stuff.
an Ipswich lad as well.
Right, before we go over to the questions, let's just do a quick recap because we had private chats, you and I, and stuff on the pod before the season of, oh God, how is this going to go? Are we going to be 15th or what have you? And we'll try and be very balanced, but it literally couldn't have gone any better. I, we've actually won 9 games out of the last 10, which is in all
Absurd,
competitions is
absurd.
absurd, as you
Yeah,
say. So let me just take you back, and we'll go. I don't know, Dave. We'll go sort of 3 games at a time, and take me through how you think this is built up. And
go on.
it all starts with that prickly press conference beforehand. Paul Lambert, he's not pleased that he
The
hasn't
funds.
got
Yep,
funds and whatnot.
yep.
We go to Burton, touch, lucky, deflected goal, red card for Burton. Things go our way. Then we had the draw against Sunderland and the League Cup defeat at Luton. So sort of a win, a draw, and a defeat in our traditional horrible cupness. Take me through the first 3 games, Dave.
Yeah, and I think even after those first 3 games, I mean, I don't think I was alone, particularly after the Luton game. Although again, you look at the side we put out and how much did we really put into that? You think after the Luton, you think, oh, okay, well, okay stuff. To be fair, Burton obviously. I don't think they're a threat, and I think I'll come to this later because I know this will come in some of the questions. I don't think Burton particularly threatened us that much. I think it was from what I remember, I wasn't there, but it was a 1-0 right deflected goal. But I think we were reasonably
As soon as
comfortable.
the red card happened,
Yeah,
we'd
yeah.
won basically.
Sunderland, we should have just been absolutely out of sight by half time. I mean, that's probably, arguably, when I've seen us this season, and I wasn't at Tranmere. I was coming back from, I was away coming back that day. Yeah, we played Sunderland off the park, and that would have been no bad reflect. If we could have been 3 or 4 up at half time
Just
against
talk about
Sunderland,
the
should have.
attendance and the atmosphere for that one, Dave, as well.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Was it 20? Was it 24? Something
Because
like
that
that.
one set the tone, didn't
Oh,
it?
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, Sunderland's, the fans are great. No matter what you say about Sunderland, the fans are absolutely brilliant. So they did make it. And to be fair, you know how it went first half. I mean, Sunderland were booed off by their fans at
Mm.
first half. We absolutely destroyed them. But everything. But probably the final. But again, that game, probably our final ball wasn't brilliant. But yeah, we played well. Um, And Luton, well, a cup game. The only bright thing about Luton probably was the emergence of young Dobro, who first came to my notice. I mean, obviously I heard of him from Joe and on the pod, and Joe had always bigged him up, saying, "Look, this kid could."
Was that Judge's first proper return as well,
Oh
Luton?
man, you're probably right. I mean, that was all kicking about as well, just on the cusp of the season, wasn't it? Whether he was going to go or not. So that was all on. And I think Lambert, quite clever again, perhaps quite clever there. Took a fair bit of pressure off the players prior to that first game with his
Yeah, good point.
call it an outburst. You know what I mean? Saying, and how he handled that. I think probably the turning point, and I know this comes to a question in the pod. So yeah, after those three games, I think everyone's thinking, okay, well, Burton, well, we expected to beat Burton. Sunderland, well, we should have win. Should have been outside by half time. Yeah, okay, one mistake. Luton, usual cup defeat.
But there's signs we're going to be competitive, though, Dave.
The signs we're going to be competitive. I think crucially, the very next game and the last-minute equaliser by Chambers at Peterborough was a real key.
So let's move on to that. So the next three, and we have a couple of late goals, and I don't know, good sides, lucky sides, better sides get late goals, don't they? Sides that are going for it, they, we saw, our friends up the road and Leeds scoring lots of late goals last season, didn't we? So Peterborough 2-2, and we took the lead in that one, and then that sense of dread came, and we're 2-1 down, and we get the late
equaliser.
Here we go.
And I think that was a crucial goal. That really, last gasp goal from Chambers. I think. I mean, I wasn't alone. I couldn't be there, but I wasn't there. But you listen to it on the radio, you think, yeah, here we go again. This is typical, same old again, even at League One. And I don't think Peterborough had the best. I think Peterborough had lost their first two, maybe, or
they had
three, perhaps. Yeah, they weren't, well, subsequently scoring goals for fun, but back then, and you think, okay, this is how it's going to be. But last minute equaliser from Chambers. Then of course we go into the Wimbledon game, which I think was the following midweek.
And this was a throwback to the Burley era, where the away team comes and sits 10 behind the ball.
Get a really good goal. Part defense.
So just before half time, was it?
Guinness where you finish, and then park the bus, and you think, and it gets to like 80 minutes, and are we missing chances? Not really creating that much. And then it turns. Norwood gets the equaliser from a corner. Jackson gets a last-minute winner. And I think, again, I'm answering a question because I did have a quick look through the questions we've got this morning. Someone posed this question about how significant was that last-minute winner against Wimbledon. And I think it's a double-edged. So I think carrying on from the weekend before, the last gasp equaliser at Peterborough, and those last two goals, and certainly the Jackson goal and the last time added on, just set us up,
Dave,
really.
If you looked at it, if you don't score that goal, you've got 3, 4, 5. You got 6 points from the first 4, which is 1.5 points per game, and we're way up. Do you know what I mean?
Reflection on it. So that just, Ben, it goes back to what I've said before, and what other people have said on the pod before. You're getting that winning mentality. It gives you that winning mentality, breeds confidence, which we just didn't have. We probably haven't had for 2 or 3 seasons, probably. So that's what it gives you. And of course, it was helped by what the very next game was.
This freak show at Bolton, where it was odd, wasn't it? And there was a few people.
Someone posted on the pod this week, and was it Dennis Sullivan, who said that I'm glad we're not playing this version of Bolton. It just ground out a 0-0 draw with Blackpool, I think.
Well, it is what it is. You don't make your fixture list, do you? No. And Bolton's problems aren't our problems, but obviously we wish them well. But 5-0, I remember doing the pod after that, quite uncomfortable, with these sort of 16-year-old guys who are supposed to just be training and practicing this season, and they're out playing against Ipswich.
Well, what was funny about that, I didn't look, and I think Joe said about it on the midweek pod this week. We played them, didn't we? We played them in an under 23 or 23 or 18.
Was it similar players?
Well, that's what we're going to. Joe thought it probably could have been most of that team, but he wasn't sure. There you go. He wasn't sure. We were 6-0 up with like 5 minutes to go or something. Yeah.
But Dave, you made a really good point. So for the first time in, I would say, 2 or 3 years for sure, a 3-game week with. We never even got 6 points, but we got 7 from a 3-game week. We just didn't have that winning momentum and feeling. And so it's starting to happen now. And you've got back-to-back wins. You've got late goals going for you. You've got red cards for the other team going for you as well. And the only thing going against you really was, a couple of draws against Sunderland and Peterborough, who are good. I get back from holiday and wound a lot of people up on the pod when I went to the Shrewsbury game, which we won 3-0.
We saw you at half time. You were shaking your head.
I was so confused, and we run out this one 3-0, and I'm like, Dave, are we really good? Is League One really bad? Are we average and League One's really bad? Because I thought Shrewsbury used the ball better than us and we killed them on a couple of quick attacks and then another red card, and
Do you know what?
I didn't know how good we were. Yet I was watching a team that had won 3 games in a row with 10 goals unreplied to it at that point. Do you understand my confusion after that game?
No, I do. And subsequently, Ben, again, I'm sorry, apologies if I'm answering someone's question in a little while, but what I've come to conclusion is that I've seen a couple of games like that. So Shrewsbury definitely, and Doncaster as well. Thought use the ball really nicely, very good. Use the ball well, neat and tidy. Absolute shite in the final third. Absolutely terrible. Final ball, set plays, awful.
But Dave, is that where
a reflection?
That where you pay your big money though for your really good strikers and number 10s?
There you go. And I think this is reflection. I didn't see Peterborough's side, who obviously can score goals for fun. They can also concede them. That's the key for me has been the actual play in the final third of these teams is terrible. Yeah, eons away from the championship.
And Dave, what happens in a January to a League One player like Maddison, who plays for Peterborough, or Clark Harris, who plays for Bristol Rovers? They get sold, don't they? Because Championship club, $750,000, £1 million or whatever.
I mean, Maddison is well, he was. I mean, I think he's still doing it, but yeah, he had a run there, didn't he? He's absolutely assists and goals. It was just ridiculous.
It was.
So yeah, but that for me is the quality in the final third of the teams I've seen so far has been very poor, very poor.
We get to this first Leasing Cup trophy, Dave, and I think you've been to both of these, haven't you?
100% attendance. Me, Stat, and Joe. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted me the other day, said, Ben, you realise you've been to MK more because I keep going to away games more than you've been to Portman Road. So I will be remedying that over coming weeks. How did it feel, this kind of competitive, friendly type thing against an academy team?
It was odd, actually. It was really odd. It was quite odd because Spurs bought a few fans, which is quite odd because you turn up thinking
big club.
Well, no, obviously, but you turn up thinking, it's going to be like a bloody reserve game sort of thing, And for me, it was almost like a throwback to, I've said to you before, those good old reserve games in the
Anglo-Italian Cup.
The football combination when I grew up. So I've told you, bored you with this before. So, 1 week, the first team would be at home. If they're away the next week, the reserves would be at home. And they're playing in division with Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea. So, I mean, I have seen, I think I've told you this before, I've seen Glenn Hoddle coming back from injury, playing on a Saturday afternoon in front of like 1,000 people. You see, I'm sure I saw once there was Ozzy Ardiles play. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Arsenal as well, Liam Brady, I believe I saw playing again, because there's no other way. They're coming back from injury and they would play, they play these games. So I went along thinking, maybe it'll be something like that. Obviously saw the Spurs line up and there was no one. I think Joe, obviously through his academy watching and connections, knew 1 or 2 of the Spurs players. It was quite good, and he could say, he's been on the fringe of the first team, or he's been in the squad for meaningless European games and stuff like that. But it was good, and what I enjoyed about it was competitive. It was competitive. And of course, again, mentioned about him earlier, that Spurs game. I mean, that was a real emergence, certainly at home, of young Dobra, who came on and absolutely ripped them apart second half. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it, as I did
in some ways
earlier this week.
Dave, they've been quite useful actually. Like, I mean, Jordan Roberts has scored a few goals in these games now. Emir Hughes can come in, and doesn't matter if he's subbed off in these games and whatnot, does it?
It's good.
Has
really good.
You love League One, don't you, Dave?
Sorry?
You love League One, don't you?
Oh, mate, honestly, considering the size of squad when everybody's fit now, what was great the other night, Will King got full 90 minutes, got a goal. Emma Hughes got a full 90 minutes, got a goal. Although had a full 90 minutes, like I think I said on the WhatsApp group, he could have lit up a cigar first half. He was really really good. So it's great for these players. He's in a competitive environment. It's really good. You just don't get these in, I don't know what they describe them as sometimes, behind closed doors friendlies or stuff like that. And if just normal under 23, under 23 games, you don't get that. So I think it's been really good atmosphere, nice. Ed Sheeran's been to both games as well, which
Um,
all good.
we
More
should
talk.
mention at this point now that Lambert's three players have been signed now. We haven't mentioned Kane Vincent-Young. You just mentioned Will Keane and Georgiou, who, funnily enough, when we're talking about Spurs, has been taken from Spurs. So he's got his three players that he said he needed
Yeah, good
into the
point.
squad now.
Yeah.
And obviously, Kane Vincent-Young's going to have quite the impact over the
Oh,
first few games and make a flying start. You've already mentioned the game against Donny, Dave, which um, it's the we have no right to complain whatsoever because it's the only game we haven't won in the last 10. But this is Grant McCann's team from last year now with Darren Moore
like Darren Moore. Got a lot of time
managing
for him.
them.
Gentleman.
What's your what was your view on this one?
They were neat and tidy. If you remember, I know this is. I looked at this earlier. This is a month ago. I think precisely a month ago to the day. They were very neat and tidy, and I think they had only played 3 or 4 games, hadn't they? Because I think they'd been scheduled to play Bury and Bolton. I think during that, certainly, well, obviously Bury's hiatus, but Bolton's hiatus, back in early season. So they'd won all their games. I think they were unbeaten and won all their games. So, and I think there was a sort of kind of thing back then. If they had beaten us, may have even gone level on point, maybe even gone
Yeah.
above us. So it was that sort of close. Again, they were very neat and tidy.
Well, Dave,
Nothing of,
Coppinger, the guy who's like
yeah,
37,
always,
is
always.
I think is the best progressive passer in the league.
Oh,
I
you're
think he's
probably
top
right.
of the key
Yeah, yeah.
passing.
Ironically enough, that game, I wouldn't. He got hooked, but probably obviously aged probably about 70 minutes. I think he went off. He didn't perhaps have his best game, but yeah, they were very good. But again, did they really open us up? No, not really. We got what disappointed me about that game, second half, we got very direct, very direct. I
We
mean,
haven't mentioned this as well, Dave.
he was
In
launching.
about 2 games' time, this is going to change, but 4-4 effing 2 for the whole of these first
Get it up
first
there. Get it up there. Yeah.
first 10 games, isn't it, as well? On we go. MK Dons a 1-0 win and Gillingham a 1-0 win, and now a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive clean sheets at
Invincible.
this point. But Paul
Invincible.
Lambert is very clearly signalling that he wants to go to a 3 at the back here. The
Yeah.
EFL leasing games are having 3 at the back. We have
Yeah.
this weird situation where the media team publishes the tweet with 3 at the back and Cole Skews in the back. And after the Sheffield United debacle last year, all I watched was Cole Skews for the first 2 minutes of this game. And we definitely started that game
Yeah,
3
we
at the back.
did.
And then Tisdale puts 1 up front and Lambert has to change it after
This was MK, yeah.
MK, 90 seconds.
Yeah.
But we get the win at MK with an ungodly amount of Ipswich fans over in the corner. No normal. Absolutely hashtag no normal.
Was
And then off we go to Gillingham, Dave, and Kane Vincent Young. And we're turning up at places,
really good
taking
goal.
over the away ends, not conceding any goals, and winning all of these games now.
But again, was it both games? Was it not MK and perhaps Gillingham to a degree where we seemed to score the goal, then we did not regress, that we sat deep and
Yeah, sat
actually
in.
absolutely got battered, didn't we? Was it Gillingham? We absolutely was it Gillingham? Was it MK? We absolutely say
M
got battered, but
Um,
again,
but when I did the pod with Joe, I was under that impression, and we read through the chances, and you said it about the Donny game. How many times did anyone
they
get
opened us
between
up.
our centre backs or round the back of us?
Just had a lot of perhaps we just relinquished a lot of the ball.
And
Maybe
a
we just
ball into the
conceded.
box, Dave, and a bounce and a shot or something, which can, you play
Yeah,
against Liverpool and stick a ball in the box, and it might bounce the right way for you. So,
yeah.
um, it may be solid and slightly not defensive because we seem to in all of these games open up like an absolute greyhound out of a trap.
Well, let's face it, open up a ground out of the trap, and I think he has got some degree of criticism in the last couple of weeks. James Norwood, who's obviously in need of a goal and perhaps is trying to, overthink it. So we are creating the chances because it's just saying
Yeah.
that perhaps in the last 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 games, he's missed decent one-on-ones in each sort of game, sort of thing.
Do you agree with the statement, Dave, that we maybe don't even need the ball as much as the stats say, because when we have it, we can create the chances, and when we don't have it, other teams can't create good chances. Which, when you look at the XG, we're still strong on the XG as well.
Ben, from where we came from last season to where we are now, there is an argument to say that the jump from League One to Championship is perhaps even bigger.
Well, look at the bloody England team.
Than the jump
Tammy
from
and
Championship
Mason
to
Mount and Dean Henderson were all in the England team last night, and we were playing against them last season.
Seriously. I'm rapidly coming to that conclusion that the jump from League One to Championship is as great, if not greater, than the jump from Championship to Prem. Seriously.
I think it's greater, Dave. I think the teams at the top of the Championship are like bad Premier League teams. I think they're already doing the things that you do in the, and they're borrowing players that are, a lot of them are Premier League standard, and that's clear.
I defy anyone out there, when we got relegated last season, and how we got, how we got relegated last season. Right, we had the end of season bounce game against Leeds, which, let's face it, we all know was a dead game anyway. I defy anyone to really truly believe we'd be in the position we are now.
3 more, Dave, and we're up to date. So 4-1 against Tranmere, and we close to a club record here. Garbett puts the free kick in. Steph Payne gets the goal against us, and then in the second half again, Jackson and Nolan scoring with these quick attack goals, pacey goals, all 3 of them in fact. And Kane Vincent-Young now gets his second goal in a row with a dribble and a left-footed shot from right wing back.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. And then off we go to Fleetwood and really grind another 1-0 away win out. That's 3 in 4 games, 1-0 away wins.
I think even at Fleetwood it seemed to be relatively comfortable, and it should have been more comfortable in Christ. Jackson penalty miss, another one-on-one from Norwood. Again, Jordan went and he said that second half that Nolan in that more perhaps advanced role, he said that was absolutely head and shoulders above everyone else.
So Dave, this is now 3 at the back with wing backs, with a 2 sit-in, a number 10 and a front 2. So Dave, you get your front 2. I get my 3 midfielders where they don't get outnumbered. We get Kane Vincent-Young and Luke Garbett playing wing backs, and we're solid at the back. So you can see on paper why Lambert's kind of arrived at that system, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. I think Vincent-Young was the key. Definitely.
Adding pace to the team, or
yes,
ability to carry the ball?
Adding pace, definitely. Yeah, if there was a criticism, we all wanted Josh Emmanuel to do well, didn't we? But clearly he just wasn't. It wasn't quite there. I mean, this kid has come in and has just been, so far, $500,000, absolute steal, isn't it? Absolute steal.
And
which, again, beggars belief that, again, you don't know, another season on, he's a young player, and I've seen criticism of her saying, well, hang on, we had him on trial at the beginning of last season. What the hell?
Evans closed the books by then, and there was composition to be paid.
Probably right.
And also, Dave, you start to look at, as we do, getting ahead of ourselves, building the next team. And we already said about Wolfenden, Downs, and Vincent-Young. They're you guys who need to get the long contracts and the pay rise, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Keep them there.
Yeah. No, absolutely right.
And Dave, you were there again. And an old podcast friend, Steve Evans, who we haven't seen, since he would have been managing Rotherham. No, he was at Leeds after he was at Rotherham, wasn't he?
He was at Leeds after he was at Rotherham. Remember, we used to love Steve Evans because he frequently talked about himself as a third person.
And frequently wears eyeliner as well.
And yeah, he is huge.
How much do you reckon Steve Evans can drink, like in just pints, before he's like tipsy?
16. Seriously, I mean, he didn't walk out, he waddled out, and I struggled to. I sort of said to Stacks, was sitting in that stand, and I said to Stat, that side of the pitch, I said, Steve Emmett, he is massive,
Like Danny
absolutely
DeVito
massive.
in the second Batman movie as the Penguin,
Bigger,
yeah.
huge.
In terms of
Look
rotundness,
up.
yeah, good old Steve Evans. Another EFL leasing trophy game to finish with, Dave. Obviously, we know that there's a 2 week gap for the first teamers now
Mm,
before we get, well,
mm.
and an extra day because Accrington's on the Sunday. So, full wholesale changes. Hughes scores, Robert scores, own goal, and Will Keane scores. That's three fringe players who you want doing
Perfect.
well, isn't it?
Absolutely perfect. Couldn't be better, really. Could not be better.
Dave, you've just said to describe that game, absolutely perfect, could not be better. Could I force your words into describing this first quarter or so of the season?
It's
We
almost, I
describe the
almost
same
repeat
words.
what, almost repeat that sentence. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
no one could foresee this. I didn't. I think I almost had the first month or first few games. I think up to the end of August, right? I think I was a
Yeah, I
point out.
remember you making
I
the
thought we would lose.
predictions.
I've got to confess, I thought we would lose at Peterborough. Nearly did, but it's just surpassed. And it is, as I keep harping on about it, is getting that momentum, having that winning mentality. And Ben, I know I've said about perhaps teams not having that quality in the final third. When you're on that winning run, you just, I don't know, it's nothing to quantify this, but you just do seem when you need it to get that run of the ball and stuff. It just seems to happen. I don't,
Yeah. No,
but
there's
maybe that's
something in
just a
that.
general
And
just
it's probably not anything to do with luck. It's probably to do with your players
confidence,
just being 6 feet
comfortable,
further forward, more
absolutely.
comfortable, more relaxed in the positions, and people thinking, well, okay, we haven't scored. But we're going to. Do you know what I mean? And we've
Well,
scored, Dave. We've scored so early in a lot of these games. It's just settled
yeah,
things down, hasn't it? If you look through this, at Burton we scored early. Against Sunderland we scored quite early, didn't we? Peterborough we definitely did.
yeah,
Shrewsbury we scored too early, didn't we?
two,
MK
didn't
we
we?
scored early. Gillingham, did we score? When was Vincent Young's
Second
goal
half,
against?
wasn't
That
it?
was second.
I think.
Okay, beg your pardon.
Yeah,
Um,
header.
but do you
I
know
was,
what I mean?
it'd be interesting. I wasn't at the Tranmere game, unfortunately, but it would have been interesting. Someone commented on when Tranmere equalised. That would have been a game. Oh, but again, it's different because you've got that momentum. When the team equalises, almost it seemed. I was listening to the commentary. I was coming back from the airport. I was listening to the commentary on that game. Almost when a team equalises, when you've got that winning mentality and you've got that momentum, it's almost like you said. Okay, fine. Well,
Well, Dave,
defensive mistake.
I
Put that down to we'll go again, and we know we're going to score. We'll go again. Where last season you had it every heads
and
dropped.
and
Millwall,
look at
I can name the games.
but look at Stoke City in upper division. I watched their game against Forest and they played really well. They went
Mm,
1-0 up. It's like the mirror of us against Millwall or whatever
yeah,
last season.
yeah.
And
Drop.
exactly the same thing. The keeper makes it as an individual error and
It's almost
they end
enough.
up losing 3-1 and away it goes. And that was really, you talk about that Millwall game where we actually played well and could have even been 2-0 up and then just literally one goal just kills everything, which
Oh,
it
and then
did.
of course, clever from Harris, if you remember,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did the
But
Morrison switch thing. But
over,
anyways, by the by, you see every game last season, once we got into the season, Hurst and beyond, certainly under Lambert, you can see the goal certainly at home. Crowder really negative, and it's just so deflating. Now you can go again because now you've just got goals, well, pretty much throughout the team, haven't we?
but just incredible, Dave. Right through the pod history, we've used 2 points per game in Big Joe's parlance. Big Joe Royal, not Big Joe Fairs. Not that Joe Fairs is big. Am I digging a hole for myself here?
Dig that
Um,
hole, small, tiny Joe.
Tiny
Yeah,
Joe,
yeah.
we've used 2 points per game as you're a good team if you have 2 points per game, and we just way above it. In all competitions, 10 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat.
I know it's balmy, isn't it? Absolutely balmy. Long may it continue.
And look, we're going to lose 2 games in a row. We're going to maybe go.
Must do, mustn't we? A
We're going to
word
go
of
four
caution.
without winning or something.
I
It's
mean,
going to happen.
a big word of caution that I didn't realise till someone posted it last weekend that Portsmouth at this point last year had the identical record that we have: 1-8, drawn 3, and obviously, well, they're still in League One. So,
Yeah,
but I don't
it's
think the
totally
squad was
different
there.
context, isn't it?
No,
Because
I
of
agree.
our
I
squad
don't
and
think.
the League One
Well, look,
versus
when you look at
Championship.
this squad, we're winning these games in the leasing.com, we're winning these games. Okay, I've only played 2, reasonably comfortable. With the exception, I mean, people were saying the reserve. That with people we spoke about the pod about people calling it reserve squad, but it's a second string. It is. With a second string lineup, really. Okay, the odd player, Wolf. I think Wolfend and Wilson played from Saturday. But yeah, I think you're right, and given that point, it's the strength of the overall squad
It's
that
all
certainly
so
popped.
interlinked though as well, Dave. You're winning, so you can go with Wilson and you can use Wolfenden better, which will then make Wolfenden better, and you don't have to overplay him. And you're not. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
It's
we
yeah.
have to get. I mean, I totally agree with Joe. I know Joe laughed. He said, "Oh, he had a good chat with Mick Stockwell at half time of the game the game on last year, at least in the Gillingham game, and having seen him and stuff, we have to get Emma Hughes in that team somehow. Have
Oh,
to.
don't go down that road. You used to say that about Dave McGoldrick, Dave, and we never were able to. So
Dave McGoldrick, there's no comparison. There's not in. I'm not saying ability, of course. There's no comparison. Now Emma Hughes needs to play, surely. My God. Absolute beast of a player who can play as well. Oh my God.
you love a left foot midfielder,
Yeah,
don't you,
true.
Dave?
Perhaps I'm
Yeah.
being suckered in by that, I think. But what a great,
It just
but how good is that? What a great position that we are in, for God's sake.
well, what
And
that you can
also,
spend the whole season, Dave, dripping him in, take him out for
oh,
a week. Yeah.
and the key touchwood is we don't appear, okay. Everything seems to be falling for us. I mean, look at this week. So from last week's game, if we'd have gone ahead with the game against Wickham today, Vincent Young probably he wouldn't be there. Norwood certainly wouldn't be there. So these things seem to be just falling for us, don't they?
They do. Are you up for some questions?
Go.
Hugh asked, do you think we need to strengthen in January? He's talking about defensive cover. Also,
Oh,
Dave, at what point do you start thinking ahead as well?
well, to 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 the P word, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of your signings, or
Well,
do
yeah,
you just
you have.
not?
Well, yeah. I mean, January. So it's another. Well, it's another probably 10, 11 games on. So yeah, it all will be a lot. All
What,
still be
but
a
Dave,
lot.
what a statement that would be if it wasn't a 30-year-old loanee centre half, but he actually
Oh,
spent
so
money on a
well, look,
centre back
as we said
on
before,
a contract.
I think it's crucial. I think it's important that we get Wilson, particularly if
3 at the back.
it might just be his agent doing a very, very good job, putting that out there. But if Sunderland and Peterborough are sniffing around him, we need to get him in, definitely, absolutely, definitely. Um, and yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. If we're still like undefeated and conceded about 8 goals by the end of by January, then yeah, bloody hell, why not? Let's make a statement and get these players in
And
readiness.
remember Freddie Sears as well, who should be pretty good at
Oh,
this level, shouldn't he?
bonkers. I, I
Yeah.
still I still say when they're all fully fit, our best front two is Keane and Freddie Sears.
Wow, interesting. ITFC Wales, is winning League One and potentially the EFL trophy better than if we'd have stayed up and finished 15th in the Championship?
Yes, comfortably. Good
Arthur
God.
says, don't want to get carried away, but the mantra that goals win games and defensive win titles sums us up perfectly now. If you were an opposition manager, how would you go about scoring against? Can I take that one, Dave?
Oh no, please do.
First thing I would do if I was an opposition manager is sit back in the first 10 minutes. I would give us the ball and not allow us to counter. I'd
Yep.
probably play something with 5 across the midfield. How would I score against us? I sound like Mick. I'd play the channels when the wing backs are
Of course,
forward.
just drop it in. Drop it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're the team now in this level where the opposition have to kind of pick us apart, don't they?
Ben, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. We have got 2 very, very good wing backs that we haven't had for a long, long time. I don't think. I mean, someone was saying, I know this is a question. I know. Sorry, carry on, because I'm just thinking of a question that I've seen that's coming up.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, the only way is when we're going forward, when we're pushing on, is to drop those balls in behind the wing backs and attack from wide. But
On the basis, of
I
course,
don't think
that
many teams has got the quality to do that, Ben. So
yeah, and obviously the way to beat anybody in football is to keep the ball and use the ball, but there doesn't seem to be,
no, it's not.
many
You got
teams.
to hold them fast and get them on the back.
Dave, I know this is called the Blue Monday podcast, but I was listening to my liked songs on Spotify. You know, you just hit
Go on.
like, and True Faith came on by New Order. I
Love
used to
that song.
think
My
that the
God, I love that
day
song.
would. That's better than Blue Monday, isn't it?
Our True Faith is just absolutely bloody awesome.
So this
Yeah,
should be
great
called
band. New Order.
the True Faith podcast then. But I was
True,
thinking that I was like, this is better than Blue Monday, isn't it? But there you go.
absolutely brilliant.
Dave Gort. I'm sure there will be a few judge questions, but here we go. Is he the best player at the club? When is he going to tear up League One? Playing devil's advocate, are we a better team without him in the starting 11? There we go again.
Wow. No, I personally think I agree with Mick and Joe Fairs that when Mick Stockwell and Joe Fairs that when Emma Hughes is fit, he's comfortably the best player at the club. Look, Alan, at some point, again, we covered this slightly on the pod on Wednesday. At some point, Alan Judge, I think, is too good a player not to click, not to really. Something will happen. He'll score a worldie or something like that, and then that will be it. I think. I mean, we've said before, when he unless he plays in that central role and he tries to stick there, he's too disciplined to play wide. I mean, I think he was part. All right, Garbutt's fit now, but he didn't really help Kenlock at all when he's playing in that wide left position. So, yeah, arguably, tricky one that, but he will come good for us, I'm sure.
But Dave,
Too
the expectation for that key creative player, and look, I'm not comparing the players, but people like Grealish and Hernandez, it's goals and assists and key passes. It's every single game, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no, you're
what.
right. Sorry, distracted by the phone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. James Mealing. After a fantastic start to the season, I still have a nagging thought in my head. It's all going to come crashing down in true Ipswich style. Any reassurance that it will all be fine will be great. Dave, is the reassurance the fact that if we do get injuries, that
Yes, the squad size, the squad and quality, the size and quality the size and quality of squad is the key for us. Yeah, I think it's far superior to I think anything else. Famous last words in that division.
ITFC Mark says 2 occasions versus Tranmere when Norwood should have passed to Jackson in the box. Jackson should have passed Norwood. Both took the shot themselves and missed when the pass would have resulted in a certain goal. Problem here going forward maybe is Keaton a better partner for both. We've talked about this on the pod before, where if you're a striker, and I know we both agree on this, if you have a high percentage chance as a striker, but your partner has a higher percentage chance, you still take the shot, don't you? Because you're a striker.
Of course you do.
It's only if you're,
Haven't got a problem
you've
with
got a marker and you can square it.
Yeah, haven't got a problem with that at all.
And we talked about quality as well. If you're a striker and it's, I know I'm going proper down the XG, and it's a 40-50% chance, you need to score, don't you? Because in the Championship, you'll get one of those per game if you're lucky. Yeah.
And then this is someone makes, and I read this on I think on the forum where someone was questioning, it's so early, he had a great start and we all love him, James Norwood, that, if he's missing the percentage of chances he's missing now, just imagine if hopefully we get to the Championship and he's in the team, and you only get one chance a game sort of thing.
A lower percentage chance than he's getting at the moment as well.
That's a really interesting point. I still say that although until he scored the goal on Wednesday, or Tuesday, whenever it was, he maybe didn't have that much service. Keane was sort of on the periphery of the game. He's probably when he's fully fit and flying will be our best all-round striker. Everything
in terms of his versatility,
touch, yeah, definitely.
Interesting. I do just think we needed someone like Norwood in this whole new Broom thing, who was a bit cocky and charismatic, and
love him.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. And everybody wants him to do it, and he'll be fine. He'll score a scruffy. We said this before. He'll score a scruffy, miss it, and then he'll be off again.
But compare it, Dave, to. Do you remember the Birmingham game last year away when we were 2-0 up?
Yes.
And Jukovic scored twice, and I remember Chambers coming over at the end, and he looked like a ghost, and he was like virtually apologising, saying, "I don't know what we have to do to win a game," and that was the kind of look of an Ipswich player last season, wasn't it? And now you have this very cocksure guy who's been promoted and scored loads of goals.
He's been brilliant right through the club. Some people were saying, he should concentrate less on his social media profile and more on one-on-one. he'll be fine. Like I said, he'll score a scruffy miss hit, and that'll set him off again. He'll be fine.
Interesting. Andy also asks, how would you set a team up to beat us? I think we covered that
Yeah,
in the other question, didn't
yeah.
we? Glory days artwork. If we get promoted, and I realise that is still an if, do you think we should have an open top bus parade? I think it should be saved for more prestigious achievements, but having not had one for 20 years, it would be nice.
Get the bus ordered. Get on the bus. Get it ordered.
Do you think we should have one?
Get on there, of course. Why not?
I don't want one, Dave. I think we're going to disagree on this one.
Well, I tell you what, I'd rather have that than the sort of painful holding of hands and
Oh, you
running
don't
to
like
the.
that?
Well, I tell you what, I think a good solid away win. Haven't necessarily got a problem with it. Fortunately, me and Stat left final whistle Tuesday.
Get
were
out.
Gone. Apparently, they did it then after that game. Apparently, I don't know.
Are we not in an age, Dave, though, where
Get the bus ordered.
where we need where club media people need gifable
Of course, yeah.
things, and
It's all good profile. And look, it's worked, hasn't it? Because Barton even referred to it, didn't he? You know, Barton referred. That was one of the things he referred to in his pre-match talk about. I don't know, yeah, almost who do they think they are? You know, get a 1-0 win at Gillingham and MK Dons and all join hands. And it's a German thing. I think he got that from obviously Dortmund and stuff. Yeah, so it creates, as you said, it creates interest. I don't know.
I think football supporters are funny about that, because I remember the Norwich fans going, "Oh, Chambers fist bump, how embarrassing!" And then every time they won last season, Daniel Farker's going over and doing this bowing thing. It's like when your team wins, you stay at the end and and do whatever.
I know you move in different circles now. Have you had much dialogue with Jack recently?
I haven't. No.
Surprising that.
I'll give him a shout. Yeah.
Benjamin. That was sorry, Ben. That was funny because did you see he posted last week? He called it Tim Pottery. I think it was him that posted when they play the old music, the goal scoring music when they score when they're 5-0 down.
5-0. Oh God. Oh, don't. I'm with Joe. I hate that music. Sends a shudder down my spine. Ben Erier says, I know it's early on in the season, but what kind of signing should we make in the summer? It's so difficult when for League One everything looks so fully stocked, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'd say £10 million striker, £20 million midfield player, free sign.
Announced liquidation.
Yay!
FPL Tractor.
Bust.
Have you guys been surprised by our flexibility with formations? I saw little evidence of this last year from Paul Lambert when I thought he might experiment. Perhaps he was concerned about getting a real hiding. Look, he was in a no-win situation last season with...
And he did, didn't he? It didn't matter, did it? We were down, for Christ's sake.
And there was a certain amount of...
He said it, free hit.
Yeah, he did try out several, didn't he? And we just lost every time, so... I
particularly enjoyed Reading. We all enjoyed Reading away with the split centre halves, didn't we?
That was a 4-3-3. My favourite one was, are we going to play 3 at the back or a 4-4-2 diamond? And we did both. We played 3 at the back with a diamond midfield, and yeah.
He had a free hit. Oh God, I bet he had a lovely time. Yeah.
It's difficult with flexibility, isn't it? Because one, there's an argument that you want flexibility, but two, you see good teams play the same formation every week, and the flexibility comes from rotation and movement within. You know that you can. What I do like is this idea. You know, like Lee Bowyer did with Bielik last year. This idea that you could have a Cole Skews where you can change system during the game. Yeah, around him. That.
Oh, I don't know about you. He's strolling it in League One, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. Geraint Jones, comment as opposed to question, but those late goals v Posh and Dons look bigger by the day. Do you agree?
Said it a few minutes ago. Yep, spot
on. Jax Larder says, do we need to win more convincingly? We said earlier the teams aren't hurting us without the ball, and we're doing the business with it. So.
And we should, let's face it, there's a couple of missed penalties in there. I mean, last week would have been more convincing. There was another missed penalty. Norwood missed one, didn't he? So, you should, statistically you should score those. So yeah, arguably it would have been more convincingly, but yeah, it is. We're comfortable at the moment.
Chris London Tractor Boy. At the moment, I honestly can't see us losing anytime soon. Announce a defeat at Accrington next game. Not that we are blowing teams away, just seems the teams in this league are so poor. I can only see us losing if the team has an off day. Do you agree with that,
Sorry,
Dave?
I'm just making note of Chris's name. Chris. Right. Okay. Yeah.
We're going to lose. Come on. You have to be so lucky, We see games where I went to Millwall Leeds the other day and Leeds had a guy kind of wrongly sent off after 20 minutes. Someone can chuck a set play in and you can concede a goal at any point.
Absolutely. In fact,
we're going to lose.
As it stands, I forecast our first defeat at home to Malden and Tiptree in the FA Cup first round.
Malden and Tiptree. There you go.
They're still in it. They're playing. I think Joe said, or someone said they're playing Royston or something. So there's some
Royston
big hitters.
Drenthe. I used to sign him on Football Manager.
Royston Drenthe. There's some big hitters in that could potentially in that first round.
What of the FA Cup? That'll be interesting, won't it? See, he'll go full reserve team for all of the FA Cup games, won't he?
I think perhaps he will.
Not interested in the slightest, but at least if we win the first round game, Dave, then the losing streak is over, isn't it?
Someone made a very good point. So say we continue our progress in this leasing.com trophy and we get to the semi-final.
So what happens? What happens next? I don't even know.
Well, we've got Colchester, which we're already through. So we've got Colchester coming up, haven't we? That's our last group game.
I might go to that, yeah.
How it all stands, tickets probably already sold out. It's bonkers, isn't it? So we're already through. Then I think, again, someone's going to correct me. I assume it goes to knockout then, does it not? I don't know. I've
got no idea. I assumed we just get knocked out and not bother with it. But
but just say you do get to the semi-final and like Wembley's like 2 games away. Well, do you then start to take it a little?
No,
and
he
we're
won't.
Still in a comfortable position. Do you then start to take it?
He definitely won't. I think a lot of people would like him to, but he won't. He 100% won't. It's all about the next league game and.
Yeah, good point. And it should be.
I don't think he's going to. And I think also FA Cup will be. And for once, we have, like you say, enough players of equal level to the first team while we're in this division. Okay, didn't work in the Championship. Craig F.
Got to say, big shout the other night. El Mazzuni was outstanding. Really good.
There you go.
Very good.
Craig F says, if form continues and the injured players, Sears, Bishop, Lancaster, return pre-Christmas, who could potentially leave in January, either permanently or temporarily, given the squad will be even larger than it is currently? Would you like to see Dobra go on loan somewhere and actually get some...
The one that sticks out for me has got to be Andre Dezelle, hasn't it?
What, on loan?
Potentially.
Would he not be going on loan to the Championship, though?
But you think, I don't know, you'd think so, wouldn't you, though? Surely. I mean, he's not getting much game time at all. I mean, when he does, it's the odd little bit of brilliance. Was it the ball round the corner at Gillingham, which was just absurd, and you think, okay, there's no one else. I know I'd big up Emma Hughes, but probably there's no one else could play a ball like that. The ball was pinged into him, and he just touch round the ridiculous touch.
Is it almost a case of getting the League One shithousen out the way, keeping him here, and then
it's a good point.
Putting him back in
it's a very
where
good
his
point.
Skills are more.
It's a very good point.
More
useful. A point. Yeah, I mean, you'd think if he's not playing, and arguably, why wouldn't he have the potential chance to go on loan to a Championship side? Then I wouldn't necessarily bulk at that at all.
What about? It'd be nice to see Dobra or El Mazzuni get some real good first team football.
Yeah, you would think they're going to.
Could they go to another League One team? Would you endorse that?
Again, same region, probably those two aren't going to go to the Championship, are they? So, yeah, potentially. But again, I think you hit the nail on the head. The shithousery aspect of League One,
which is alive and well.
Yeah, which is very much alive and well. is difficult, isn't it? You're almost. That's where I think these leasing.com. I know you're only perhaps playing teams at that sort of that level, but I think that's where these leasing.com games have been really good.
Michael Smith says, great start to the season. Looking at individual players and performances, I can see similarities between Nolan and one of my old favourites, Viljan.
I saw this.
Can you make any other similar comparisons? Have we got a Neil Thompson, a Mick Stockwell, a Marcus Stewart, a David Johnson in there?
I saw this question, and that was a good question. I would say, thinking about the players, I couldn't.
Who's Flynn Downs like, Dave?
blimey.
It's good that they're all their own player, I guess.
I said
But
I thought the wide players, and I think Joe picked up on this in the midweek show. Kane Vincent-Young, ringer, he right. I think I said, he's a sort of best fullback we've had since David Wright, but he went further back. He said, "No, Fabian Wilness," and he's right. Kane Vincent-Young, Fabian Wilness.
quicker than
Fabian like a
Fabian,
little
isn't he?
step over. Fabian like to drop shoulder, had a trick, didn't he? And you could say Garber and maybe Aaron Cresswell. Cresswell liked a free kick, didn't he? Perhaps not quite as venomous as Luke Garber. So I think it's a kind of analogy there. Sorry, who asked the question there? Who was it?
Michael Smith, not that one.
Mike, not our Mike. So I couldn't, because I know Viljoen. He's one of my first favourite players, and I must admit I couldn't see the analogy between Nolan and Viljoen. Not really. Viljoen was an out and out get the ball passer, absolute master of the short or long, brilliant technical player, who obviously did go on to play a couple of times for England. So sorry, Mike, I can't really see that analogy as good as John Nolan is at this level. But yeah, that's pretty. I quite like that question. I'd love to compare one of our players now to Marcus Stewart, as I'm sure you and obviously David Johnson as well. But I'm not sure there's anyone.
We're not there yet, are we?
Quite yet, no.
Levels.
No.
Chris Rand, our away record: played 6, won 5, drawn 1, lost 0, 4-11 against 2. Discuss fluke or not. I don't think it's a fluke because, like you said, very much tactically it was. We don't need a second goal, wasn't it? This is where my confusion is less now than it was after that Shrewsbury game, where it was no look. We're okay without the ball. We can give the other team the ball and still win this game. So I think it's deliberate.
Do you know what's funny after that? During that Shrewsbury game, when he met up at half time, I think I was with Jordan, and Jordan looked at me and said,
"It's Kieran."
Was it Kieran? And Kieran sort of said, "I think Ben just doesn't. Ben doesn't understand football. No, not being rude. Just Ben just doesn't get it." And he said, and you sort of threw doubt on our mind, and we said, "Yeah, it's almost like the Emperor's New Clothes."
Yeah, I don't understand League One at that point.
What are we really seeing here? That was quite a moment actually. Yeah. Kieran said that. He's normally sort of fairly unobservant, just watches a match, and he said, "Yeah, I think Ben's got a point. This is all kind of weird, isn't it?"
Yeah, very very strange. Mikey, that one. Just seen pictures of Luke Garber sunning himself on the Amalfi Coast. Where would you go on a mid-season break on Premier League wages? If I was a Premier League player, I would not be in a fit state to return after I went on a mid-season break on Premier League wages. I think I would eat and drink a lot.
I'd go to the moon. Just for Mrs. Nuts, because I saw her post. You got to go to Dubai, haven't you?
But if you're a Premier League, but don't the Premier League players own Dubai? You know that bit where Kieran Dyer's got about
the
8
Palm,
houses
the Palm in Dubai.
Wherever it's. Have you been to Dubai?
Yeah, loads. I was there earlier this year.
No, socially, not for work.
Well, I'll always have social time. No, I haven't. No.
Work is just one big social, isn't it?
I must admit, no, I haven't. But my embarking memory of Dubai last time I was there, I was with a colleague in a restaurant. He doesn't drink. He's a proper real ale guy. It's Dubai, for Christ's sake. And we found this restaurant that served Fuller's IPA, and we got the bill afterwards, and a pint of Fuller's IPA was 15 quid. So you would need to be on Premier League wages, I think.
Yeah. Just anywhere hot, I guess. Tim says, would you rather be where we are today or wind the clock back a year and take your chances under Paul Hurst?
I think we've answered that, Tim. I think we've answered that, yeah. I think we're quite happy where we are at the moment, aren't we?
Mullet asks, which result has been the biggest catalyst for the season going so well so far? He says, for me, it was Wimbledon. You agree? Is there not an argument, Dave, that going to Burton, first day, clean sheet, getting the win, starting off, away you go. But I guess he's probably right.
Because of what went on
the Wimbledon one.
Yeah, the defeat against Sunderland, the draw against the draw against Sunderland, defeat against Luton, and the draw at late draw at Peterborough. Yeah,
the only caveat with the Wimbledon one, Dave, is we could have played you and me and still beaten Bolton, couldn't we? So
true, probably. Yeah. Where would you think you'd have played? Where would you have liked to have played?
I would have played right back and then been substituted after 5 minutes, just puffing. I need another hairband. I can't see past my own hair. And then I would have gotten,
I think I'd have had a
I'd have
nice
gotten an
time in
argument,
goal.
Dave,
To be
with.
fair, I think I'd have had a nice time in goal against Bolton.
I would have gotten an argument with one of our own players as well about some
Yeah.
rubbish or whatever, not getting the ball. So, Dave, absolute pleasure as ever
Oh, is that it? Oh, mate, it's flown by. Oh,
to
good
be
lord.
on
What?
with your fine self. This is
And you too. You
where the
too.
podcast started. Obviously, we literally now couldn't do it without the other guys because
Oh
it'd
God,
be
no.
virtually
Yeah.
a
And I've got to say,
full-time
I
job.
must say, I think I said this off air. Big shout for Rich's mate Seb last week. Thought came
Yeah.
across really well.
So
Did
yeah.
really
So the
very
idea was that people sometimes complain when people on the pod aren't at the game. We normally have at least one or two people at
yeah.
every game, don't we? But the idea last week was you were away. Where was I? I was at Millwall, wasn't I? Rich was at the game. Joe didn't travel. Mikey
Well,
didn't
hang
travel.
on, let's put it in context. The game was at Fleetwood. I mean,
Yeah.
we are committed. So Jordan went. He's got a pal up there, so he went up on the Friday. And Fleetwood, he didn't quite appreciate. It's got no train station, so they got trained to. They stayed in Preston where his mate lives.
Oh
They had to
God.
get a train to Blackpool and then a tram to Fleetwood. So I said, "Oh, it's not
Jesus.
far." Is it? He said, "Dad, it's about 40 minutes. It's like the end of the line. It's a real pain in the
Wow.
ass to get to." But I had a
But
good weekend. I think.
so yeah, we got Seb on. So if there's a he lives up in the northwest, we'll do
Excellent.
another Rich and Seb show.
I think.
But like I was saying, we need the whole team, like Ipswich need the whole squad to get through the season. Both Dave and I work full time, and
And
I know
also,
some people love the good old days of us face to face, but 2-3 times a
something.
week is just too difficult, isn't it? At this stage, Dave.
Yeah, it is. I like the old days of us face to face and me butting in as usual. Sorry, just a quick shout. Did I see Amy's making a return next week?
Amy
Potentially.
will be, yeah. So
Accrington?
she's given birth, and presumably
Yeah.
her hormones are all reset now.
Careful.
No, but
I know what
it's
you mean.
hard. You've had two children, for
Yeah.
goodness sake. There's an adjustment period back. It's a very interesting time for our female compadres, isn't it? So yeah, so she'll be back, and then I think I'm doing Rotherham, and then literally the entire Blue Monday team's at Southend, aren't they? And half of Ipswich by the.
There's like 8 of us doing the pod on the Sundays. Yeah.
God,
Cram in.
how many words will anybody get in that? Goodness me. But Dave, absolute pleasure as
You
ever.
too, mate.
People can
But
find
I
you.
got to ask you, what are you doing today? You're devoid of football. What the hell are you going to do?
Shaylee's got a Halloween cake
Oh,
to do, and I'm gonna help
oh,
her do a little film of that. We've got the
oh, great
dogs.
stuff. Look forward to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get some food for tonight. Probably download a movie, and I'm not going anywhere near a
Football.
football match. I'm going to work tomorrow in the afternoon as well. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
commendable
yeah,
Sunday. Yeah.
absolutely.
I might
Well,
take in if it stops raining. You know what? I might take in a local game.
wise
Might.
man once told me, Dave, if you want the big money, you've got to work the big hours.
That wasn't me.
No, you don't work the big hours anymore, Dave. Is it true
Of course,
you're head honcho now at your place?
I beg your pardon.
Are you the head guy now at your place? Are you running the whole operation?
Potentially.
Ah,
Yeah. By the way,
congratulations.
did you see our mutual friend yesterday?
I did. Is
Ah.
is that how I heard about that then? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll
say-
talk about this in a minute.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
talk about this off air.
off air. Right, Dave. Where you on Twitter quickly?
At David Diamond 3.
And find me at Benjamin Bloom on Twitter. There's loads of still other championship stuff, all just ready for next season when we're
Lovely.
all back up there, isn't it? Thank you very much for listening at Blue Monday ITFC on the Twitter. And let's do a Mikey. Be careful what you, as he tries to find the stop button,
Don't count your chickens.
wish for.